The first thing I want to say is thank you. Really, thank you for being here. Thank you for wanting to be here or being here even if you didn't want to be here. That the mere assembly of all of your energies is a profound gift. It's a profound gift to me. And I think it's transmuted into something higher, if you will. It becomes a profound gift for all of us. And if ever we were in need of a gift, I would say it's now. Everyone I know on the planet is going through a very unique to them experience of a commonality. And it's really fascinating to see who we are as we all relate individually to a universal experience. In a way, it's happening all the time. Every one of us wakes up every day and has a day, and every one of us watches the sun come up in the morning. Either we watch it or we're aware of it. The day happens, food happens, drink happens, going to the bathroom happens, sleep happens. We all have days, and they have a certain kind of shared aspect. And more shared aspect than we understand. We go to work. Now, every one of us goes to work in a different place, and some are retired, and some are not yet engaged, and some are out of work. And so work has an impact, whether it's an active impact or a missing impact, but it's a defining element. We all have a lot of defining elements. But what's happening right now to all of us is that we are facing something profoundly real in ways that we have never in our lifetimes had to face. My parents watched a worldwide depression come in. They watched a hostile takeover of Europe. They watched a bombing of ships in Pearl Harbor. And then their entire world went upside down, and they all had to focus on a collective engagement in embattlement, in fighting something horrific that was trying to come into their lives and upend it. And they had to send their young men, gradually young women, into battle mode, and life as they knew it up to that moment was never the same again. We have been very lucky in our generation. We faced minor things going on, things around us in the distance, but our own lives have rarely been affected as profoundly as they are going to be affected now. We're already experiencing this pandemic, so we're all having a singular note playing itself out in our lives, and we all have a relationship to it, some more benign, some more dramatic. Some people losing friends or losing their own lives, losing their health. Some people just sitting quietly at home and watching TV. Everybody's coming at it all in their own terms. But what's happening now in the world, certainly in the political world and certainly in the world of the country we live in, is something we haven't really witnessed before. And I don't want to do a really political talk because I don't think that's necessarily where this wants to go. But I will tell you, the next 79 or so days in our lives are going to be as real as anything that my parents experienced in Pearl Harbor, as anything that their parents experienced when the stock market totally collapsed and the country went into total depression. We are on the brink of real transformation. We don't know the actual directionality of it, but the future of humanity and the world will be decided in many ways in the next 79 or so days. That is a very eye-opening reality. You can close your eyes, you can turn off the news, you can cancel your newspaper subscriptions, excuse me. You can look the other way. But no matter what you do, the world as you have known it is changing and eroding on some level, possibly finding in its erosion room for new seeds to bloom. That's all possible. But keep your eyes open because you are looking at reality. We're always looking at reality, and sometimes we're simply oblivious to it because we're so engaged in the minutiae of our day-to-day life. Sometimes reality is in the face, and this is one of those moments. And I think it's important to keep your eyes and your attention forward, feeling what's happening. It's not essential to engage it in terms of stress and drama and fear. It's not a requirement. The requirement is just be aware. Look at it. You may not like what's coming, but then if you look at the part of you that doesn't like it, that will be very instructional. What part of you is responding to this stuff? The part of you that reacts to all of the disruption with fear is an essential part of your biological being. It is going to be with you until the very last breath in your life. How much of a role it plays, this fear, this anxiety, this stress, this projection of scary future, how much of that controls your life is really dependent right now on how you face what's coming. Can you breathe into all of this and stay aware and detached, conscious that this is coming, conscious that it could have very negative aspect on every level for the rest of your life, conscious that it may turn into something else that might be actually good and healthy? We really don't know. But this is a time that is very, very powerful. And it is a training ground for people who wish to be trained in how to surrender, open, let go, trust, observe, be aware, and find still pointedness no matter what is going on. It is very hard. I will tell you it's hard because I woke up the other morning in a state of complete stress. It was really horrible. I had no reason to have it. It just was there. It had something to do with people taking post office boxes away from cities so people couldn't mail in their ballots. And I just went, this isn't good. This isn't the way it's supposed to work. Taking away sorting machines from post offices just before an election. I said, that's not good. Who's doing this? This is not legal. Why isn't every human being in the world yelling and screaming and saying, what are you doing? You're taking my voice away. Because every one of us individually doesn't quite know what to do. But I know I woke up with an enormous amount of disturbance. And because I'm a Hollywood screenwriter, or I was, and because I have a sense of world drama, and because I can project future drama very easily, I projected a really dark future that I didn't really want to particularly live in. And I was trying to figure out, what's my role in this? Do I just breathe and go, okay, and so, and relax and be quiet? And then I'll tell you, the teaching for me, there were two teachings. The first one was Breaking Bad, the TV show. And at one point, Walter White, those of you who know the show, was looking down the barrel of a gun at someone who was probably going to pull the trigger and shoot him. In a way, he deserved to be shot. In a way, none of us deserved to be shot. But there he was, bullet at his head, gun at his head, seconds away from dying. And he said, with a kind of power that I haven't really witnessed, but the show is beautifully acted, he said, do it. Do it. And he said, do it in a way that made me know he was ready to die. He was ready for the inevitable. All of his life came into focus. Everything he had done up to that moment, all of the rights and wrongs were right in that gun barrel. And he just said, do it. And I looked at that statement and I looked at the power in his voice. And I was very inspired by it, because I knew at some point, every one of us listening to this talk, including me, is going to face a moment. It may not be a gun barrel, it may be a wave crashing over you, it may be fire, it could, who knows what the level of particular pain or drama may arrive in our lives. But at some very real point, your last breath, your last moment, I would hope and pray that you and I will have arrived after years and years of practice, of surrender, of opening and acceptance. And when that moment comes, with a kind of real quiet commitment, a real quiet centeredness, we will simply go, do it. Not with drama, not with anger, not with fear, not with anything. Just total yes to the inevitable, the absolute inevitable. And all I can tell you is that I keep looking to this strange practice that we do, which is totally about surrender, let go, accept, allow, all those wonderful words. They are there not just so you can get through the day and deal with the fact that the TV broke down or that you can't get your internet connection. It's about something much more dramatic and real. It's about you are going to have a moment, which could come sooner than later in this strange world we're living in. And at that moment, something in you needs to find an ability to go, do it. Do it. One of the things I've been teaching a lot recently has been about mudra, hand movement, and about this idea of touch and the power of touch. And the power of touch is enormous. It allows us to feel present, feel like we are existing. Material touch is very important to us. In that certain sense, touch brings new life into the world. The hunger for the pleasure of touch recreates us. We need to do this touching. But I would encourage you, as I have recently in my talks, to have this experience of touch, like just touch your fingers together, hold them together, feel the joy of touching yourself, being touched, and then watch the journey that occurs when you separate. when you let go of touching, when you let go, it's a different world. It's scary because now you're not being touched. Now there's separation. But the discovery, and it's been one that's been working for me very strongly, one I really communicate to you through the class, is the letting go of touch gives you a sense of being touch itself. You are that which touches. You are that which touches both physically and non-physically. When you reach out in your heart and you love another person, that is touching them, not physically, but it is touching. Pulling away from that person in that love shows you how far that love can be transmitted. That love just expands and expands. Touch and not touch maintain a sense of space that is alive with connectivity. Loving and walking away from love or stepping away from love shows you how infinitely large that space can get. Love is a phenomenon. Love is an energy force. You have it with people and then you don't. But when you don't, it doesn't go anywhere. If you have ever lost someone you love, you know that that love is still present. In some ways, it's more present than when you were actually hugging them. That love is so dynamic. That love is, in some way, the secret teaching. That when you let go of manifested love, when you let go of touching, when you let go of having, it's still there. And you can figure that out and know it just practicing this little bit of putting your hands together, feeling how good that makes you feel. If you can connect with that in your heart, you will feel how good love and what love feels like just when you touch your hands together, prayerfully even, and then you slowly separate them apart and it doesn't go anywhere. There's a moment of fear, there's a moment of, uh-oh, you want to be touched, but then you see it's still present. Still present. It's subtle, but it's present. My sense of this is when that bullet goes off into your forehead, when that moment of do it arrives in your life, of do it, where you say yes to this. You say yes to letting go, to separation, to not being materialized anymore, to not being physical, to not being in your body, to not being in the world of physical feeling, manifested feeling. When you say yes to the letting go of that, I can only tell you this teaching will prepare you for that moment. This teaching of letting go is realizing that there is no separation at all. The other day I had a dream where my Aunt Esther, who has long been gone, these are all my relatives really, the older generation, she walked into my house through the back door and I really was surprised. And I said, hi, what are you doing here? She said, I just came to check up on you. And I felt so touched by that somebody would come from the other side to just check up. And I was so happy to see her, and she looked great, old, matronly, wise. And I knew it was the coronavirus time, and I didn't know if I could invite her into the house because I didn't want her to get sick. Of course, she was already dead. But I just had this feeling I should be protective. And I said, you want to come in? She said, sure. And then I said, can I give you a hug? She said, of course. So I went over to give her a hug, and I will tell you, rarely in my life have I experienced that much love coming from any source, ever. And my Aunt Esther was never the great hugger, and my mother was the lover of the three sisters. My Aunt Esther was not that, but boy, oh boy, she had it to give. And it flooded my entire being with so much love that I just woke up, and for the entire day, I just felt the joy of having anybody in the universe want to see how I'm doing. And coming from the other side to check in. And it made me feel a number of things. One is, maybe they're getting me ready to go over to the other side. That was one of the strong feelings that I got. And in a certain sense, I think you've all picked this up, I'm not unready for that. You know, I've lived a very, very satisfying life. I have done all the stuff I need to do. And, you know, I'm now in my house at the point where I'm just putting everything in its place. It's like I'm getting everything where it belongs. I got file cabinets that are now filed. My desktop is clean. You know, I'm just letting it all get put together. And I'm thinking, okay, now what? Well, I mean, I really don't know. I'm at this coronavirus moment where I don't have a plan, other than I've created spaces in my house to do stuff. Like I can make art and I can play with my photography and I can meditate. And other than watching Breaking Bad right now in the news, I'm not too interested in any of that, all that distraction. So I don't have a clue really how this is all going to go forward. But I do know that I am feeling myself getting ready to go do it. Doesn't have to be dramatic. Doesn't have to be a huge thing that takes place. It might, in the end, be very subtle. It might be it could be dramatic. But whatever it is, I don't want to be snuck up upon. When that moment arrives, and I will tell you, the only true inevitable moment, the only ultimate reality in your life and my life is that something's going to come to bring it apart, separate. And either you're going to go, or you can go into total panic mode, fear mode. I'm not ready. Why didn't you tell me this was going to happen? Didn't think I was going to die. I mean, there's all these ways. Or you can go do it. Or more quietly, okay, or yes, or thank you. And you come to this point that your whole life leads up to, really, which is they've given you this enormous, enormous experience of touch, this enormous experience of manifested being. You've gotten to taste the world, to have ice cream and spaghetti and hamburgers and whatever it is you like. You've gotten an opportunity to, I had marshmallows on the fire yesterday. It's like, oh my God, I have forgotten marshmallows. And I had such joy in all of this, but they've given me what appears to be a lifetime, almost 80 years of playing with life and being in life, and now they are going to take it away. They've done that for every one of you. They've given you a life that you've either felt was well lived, wasn't well lived, it was fulfilled, was not fulfilled. Doesn't matter, really. I mean, what matters is you enjoy getting up in the morning, looking at the sky, having a moment of, well, this is interesting. And then knowing at some moment, could be any second or down the road, they're going to take this connectivity that you have, this wonderful sense of feeling and being, and they're going to go poof. And if you have practiced letting go, you will, I believe, experience the expansion of that wonder of being, even though it's not manifested anymore. Even though it goes unmanifest, it goes and it goes beyond. And then you return to or go to whatever it may be that's waiting. And we can talk about what that is or guess about what it is, but definitely those of us who have meditated over the years, we've sort of begun to learn that there is something under this. There's something supporting this. There's something guiding this. There's something manifesting this that's there. And where else would you go but into that? Where else? So I don't want to be death obsessed, but since death ultimately is the only ultimate reality and truth, other than the one you're living right now, which is the manifested truth, death is the other half, the yin, the yang. You're going into the other half at some point. And right now, we are in a moment in time that's very real, and the world as we know it is altering and changing into what may be something of a deep new breath and relaxation and like, oh, thank God, or it can get very, very dark very quickly, really quickly. I hope we'll always be able to have these gatherings and these talks and these meetings, and that will be allowed, and we'll be able to share all of this. I have no idea what the new environment will be like, what the new reality will be like. Sometimes, people getting together to talk like this will be forbidden. In other cases, they will be celebrated. If it's celebrated, we will continue this dialogue and practice, hopefully in person. If for any reason it becomes something you're not supposed to do, you do it on your own. It's not something that requires a teacher. It's not something that you have to get from the outside. It's something that's already stimulated on the inside. You know the work, you know the drill, you know what you're supposed to do. You should take charge, be in charge, know that when it becomes very real, it's just you. It's you reacting to whatever stimulus is coming. The ones that are coming are going to be big. That's all I can tell you. They're already big. And they're bigger than we've ever really known. So find your muscle, find your capacity, find your ability to take the breath, find your ability to hold on and to let go and not feel the loss, not get attached to one or fearful of the other. Find the ability to just reach out into the world and trust and trust and trust that this vastness of being is the source of everything you ever needed or wanted in life. Excuse me. And when that moment comes, and it's over, and it will come, that you'll be able to go do it. Just do it. Just brave enough to know that you have nothing to lose. You have nothing to lose. Doing that, it's just a change in atmosphere and dynamic, but there's nothing lost. You will not lose anything. So, I don't know exactly where these talks are coming from or why I'm making them, and if they're really disconcerting and disturbing, you can tune me out anytime you want. I am totally open to nobody showing up. In fact, I should tell you, in a week from Thursday, I am going to do this neck operation that I think I talked about. I have a compressed disc, and they're going to put something in there. And it's going to take me offline for a little bit because I have to wear a collar, and I don't want to have these little jerking moments that are going to suddenly break into that. So there will be a little vacation for everybody from Bruce. And then as soon as I feel, back to my old self, which will be 2 or 3 weeks, we will begin the class again. But next week will be the last class for a while, unless unless I'm in the operating room and I go do it, which then these will be one of the last classes. But there are 400 and some talks that I've given here. There are a lot of other people who talk. Rudy's talked. So many people talk. So it's not like you don't have a guidance program outside you that will tell you how to move forward if I get out of the picture. You know what to do. You all know what to do. That's one of the great gifts. You know what to do, and do it. Do it.